It's all about helping each other out.
Whenever you're ready, Chris.
It's ready now. I just let it go while you guys are ranting, so it's a more natural.
So we're all ready. So I guess I'll start off. Welcome to the live Game Source podcast right here at Retro City Games.
And now everyone's ears are bleeding.
That's the idea. And I'm sitting on a hand. Yes. My name is Gerald, better known as Yes Elvis Lives, and I'm here tonight with a great bunch of people, bunch of friends out here. Got Mario Party Wars. We got the great stars from Nintendo Quest are also here as well. Rob and Jay, let's give them a big hand. I've got Jay Bonded right here.
Too kind. Thank you.
And along with me today for doing the damage tonight is...
Hey, this is Aaron, OSU Water Polo. Jeremiah, Super Pouring.
We're here. Stephanie. I said it backwards.
And the man, he's going to show up in a little while. His name is Killer X Wolf. He was our man at E3. This is Chris. I do want to mention, if you have any questions for Rob or Jay, you can send us a tweet at GameSource. Also as well, check us out, GameSource at Facebook. Like us there. We are one of the leading sharers of news and information for the video game world. We've shared over 40,000 articles, plus we've provided our own unique look at the world of gaming. All right, so let's start off. This has been a big weekend for you, my friend. Last night was the first screening, the world premiere.
We did, yeah. Our first screening of Nintendo Quest was in Beverly Hills. Like, who would have thought Beverly Hills, California?
Hills. Absolutely.
From a Canadian guy, that's a huge deal, and even to Rob, that was a pretty big deal. I mean, we pulled up on Rodeo Drive. I was like, what is happening here? Like, this is really cool, and it went really well. We were both pretty nervous, although he'll never admit that, but he was nervous too, and the response was just crazy. People were cheering at different parts of the film, and like a standing ovation at the end and stuff like that. And it was just like, wow.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Quite humbling.
And if you out there really want to get a hold of a screening, you want to host have them come over to invade your city as far as first screening.
I'll do it.
Or you want to check out where the Nintendo Quest Power Tour is going to be for 2015. Check it out at NintendoQuest.com. Once again, NintendoQuest.com. Got a great crowd here tonight playing NES old school gaming. If anybody wants to come in and ask Jay and Rob or any of us questions on the video game scene, we are here tonight for you. So, that being said, guys, before we go on to some topics I just threw out there, which I know is always an issue with you.
He has the worst topic choices in the world.
Yes, why thank you, because
Except for Microsoft. Their topic choices are even worse.
They're both a bit dated.
Fair enough. But did you guys have any questions for Jay, since we got him right here on the spot?
I do. So,
okay. Have a seat in the hand. We will have a seat in the hand.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even notice that.
Yep.
That's cool.
Well, that was because he's so tall and the rest of us
he is tall,
aren't.
Yeah.
So
he had to get a short chair.
I know you were not allowed to buy anything on Amazon, eBay, anything like that.
Right.
Are you happy to be able to have that back, or do you think that going out and buying stuff in person has changed your view on how you acquire stuff?
So I've been collecting for 7 years, and no, it's always been going out to get it. I do runs every week. I don't really like eBay. I have used it, of course, everybody has, but I prefer to go pick up stuff in person because going out with your friends is half the fun of it, right? Yeah. So and then you get a story behind each game and such, so I'd much rather get up off the sofa and do it that way.
Yeah, well, I know we like going out to actual stores and ordering things just because not only can you find what you're looking for, but you can always find something you weren't looking for, right?
That's the bullet. And this store is awesome, by the way. This is my first time here. And walking in, I found 2 games already that I'm going to pick up. So hopefully they're still open. We're done this, but
we found one too.
There's a Saturn game there with Corey Haim.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys know who Corey Haim is? Yes. Yeah, you do. Okay, I'm getting that for sure.
Yeah, I need to expand my Saturn collection a bit. It's a little lacking.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot, but I like that system. Do you guys remember? Here's one for you, if you don't mind. Do you remember when that came out? That was the first system in history that just came out. Sega never said anything. Do you guys remember that? In Canada, at least, it was May 25th, 1995.
Well, Sega's always been really bad about marketing in general, and that's part of the reason why they're not around anymore.
Yeah, they were trying to
I think with the Dreamcast, they really, if they could have gotten behind that, that's still one of my favorite systems of all time. So.
Yeah, I think they tried to get the jump on the PlayStation, but lack of software.
Story of most failed systems.
Yeah, I feel bad, man. I really do miss Sega. Big Sega fan, and
yeah, it was my
shame.
first.
And now even their first party stuff, in my opinion, is kind of lacking.
I think it was nice having more options than, now there's Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft left. It was nice having more options and getting a bigger variety of stuff coming out.
When those two companies came in, they were the first two that weren't actual game companies, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of crushed Sega.
Yeah.
Money-wise, if Sony was doing bad, they would pull it from Sony Pictures, they would pull it from Sony Music. And at the time, I was really angry about that because I don't think that's fair. I mean, it's business, so that terminology doesn't exist, but I was really bummed when they announced they weren't doing systems anymore.
Yeah, well, and then the other thing, too, is, everybody kept telling Sega, oh, stop making the systems, just make games. That's all we want. And then what happened to Sega?
They don't make very good games
anymore. Yeah.
What about poor Sonic?
Yeah.
You guys had a rough run, man. Look at everyone here just put their head down. They're like, oh.
It's almost like a funeral.
It is, yeah.
Too soon.
Long live Sonic.
Sonic was a great character, a wonderful, much beloved character, but Sega just ran it to the ground.
Yeah. Give him a sword, give him a scarf. Doesn't matter. It's still bad, unfortunately.
Turn him into a werewolf.
Yeah, that too.
A hedgehog.
Hey, Sonic Chronicles got me through a couple of college courses that were boring.
Fair enough.
That's the last Sonic game I enjoyed.
I did.
Sonic Generations.
Hey, actually, you know what? I like the two arcade racing games. Those
Sonic
are really
All-Star
cool.
Racing.
Yeah.
That one is
man.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, I really dug that. And I like the Xbox one had banjo in it and stuff. It was pretty cool.
And they didn't completely kill him off because he's in the new Smash Brothers, and he is like kind of a thing still. But he's not.
That game there is like Nintendo trying to save all the mascots. You know, Mega Man, get him in here, and we'll save Sonic, and we'll save Pac-Man.
Yeah, don't get me started on Mega Man.
And even though Metal Gear hasn't come out,
But then they had Street Fighter's Ryu. I mean, what's the deal with that? They kind of just said, let's take what we can, let's make it a good game, but let's also innovate it by mixing more than what we should, or more than what normally would be acceptable.
I'm always of the opinion that the more fighters are the better. Bring them on.
That is
Give me
true,
100. I don't care. I think it's cool. Yeah.
More variety. It's much better.
Yeah, and then more music, more stages.
Exactly.
That's always
More
good, too.
everything.
So tell us a little bit about how it's been going for you. It's just started off. You had a long drive to Beverly Hills. Now you're over here to Las Vegas. Tell us, what are you hoping for as far as, because the Power Tour 2015 is just starting for you. What are your expectations?
Well, we want to make a successful film, and so far we've had 2 wonderful reviews. Just wonderful reviews. And the reaction to the film last night was really great. So, Rob and I have a lot of things in the works, and it kind of all hinges on this, and this is a really positive first step in that direction. So, I can't say a whole lot, but there's a lot more to come.
Which way you can go or not.
And, man, Vegas, what can I say? I mean, do you guys know where you are? Like, Vegas.
Vegas.
I went to the Strip, right, for the first time, right?
Nice.
And I'm just like a kid. I'm walking around, and people are giving me beers, and there's girls everywhere.
Yeah, there's
and
drinks as tall as
you are.
and what's that?
Did you get the margarita with a necklace on it?
No,
Like the margarita you hold on your neck. Like, so you don't hold it.
Rob's dragging me, and all of a sudden I'm in Paris, and I'm in New York, and then I can't see anymore. And it's awesome.
But the big secret, of course, is we all live here, so we don't go to the Strip. Dude.
Yeah, that's
we
what
go,
he says too.
When everybody comes to visit, they're like, "Oh, you're probably bored of going to the Strip." I'm like, "Man, I haven't been to the Strip in like 2 years, guys."
Fair
Like
enough.
I think we got married on the Strip, and I think we've been to the Strip like twice. We had a Legend of Zelda wedding.
That is
Pretty
amazing.
awesome, so-
That's awesome.
But yeah, like we went to the Strip for that, and what, like somebody came to visit, I think, and we went again. No, nobody really goes if they live here.
This year, and it's interesting to see each different city that everyone who's into retro games just has such a passion for it, and they just love it. And I love it. We got the Sega Hunter here, by the way. Do you guys know this guy's here? Yeah, say hi.
Let's get out of the way. You can go ahead.
This dude made awesome Star Wars videos. So I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so it's awesome, dude.
I had fun making it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's a big Revan guy. CT likes Revan. That's
Love
cool.
Revan.
Yeah. Anyway, the different people. I love talking to the different people. Hearing their take on the film, it's wonderful.
Absolutely. So tell us your name, and for everybody that's watching. And did you have a question for Jay, or did you have a question for one of us? Or
I'm just hanging out, having a good time. I do a little show, The Sega Hunter, on YouTube.
Oh, there you go. Let's get the plug.
Where can we find you at on YouTube? What is your
You can just type in The Sega Hunter. You can also find me on Facebook too. So
Awesome.
It's cool, man. His reviews are awesome. They're really funny.
I got forward
We
to
like funny.
Yeah.
So you had a really good time on the strip for the first time?
Yeah. You wanna do the scene?
Are you guys rolling it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is all live.
This is all live, and Rob just drops in.
We heard you did not get Jay a margarita on a necklace when he was at the strip.
No, I'm waiting for him to get the 65-ounce guitar. Since he's the video game rock star.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna fill that up with lemon drop.
Yeah, man, the strip was crazy. Like I said, we went to Paris. I don't even know the casinos we went
to get the margarita that's on a necklace. What is wrong with
They're really mad about that.
They're drinking the booze.
I want to get the guitar for him. The
guitar with the straw in it?
Yeah, exactly.
That seems a bit campy, but I'll do it.
You haven't done it in Vegas yet. You haven't done
It's a
it.
seat.
It's
Gerald is so tall.
Seems a little fast for me. I don't know. Hand on my bum. I don't know about that.
It doesn't buy you dinner first. That's
Yeah,
It jumps the gun.
it does.
That voice you hear is director Rob McCallum. We're here once again. This is YourGameSource.com, GameSource on Twitch, and we're here at Retro City Games in Henderson, Nevada. If you are in the area, come on down. They're playing NES games all night long. You can meet the guys from the great documentary Nintendo Quest. They're here tonight to see you. Or to ask you if you have questions. If you're not in the area, send us a tweet at GameSource or right off our chat at Twitch. So, we got some topics, to talk about in the video game world, because outside Nintendo Quest, there was a couple other stories out there. Aaron, did you want to...
Impossible.
This is
They're
the
not
only
as
story
good
that
stories.
matters.
They're not as good, but they're still relevant. Aaron, did you want to start off with...
Well, I mean, we all know Arkham Knight just dropped, and it's a good game, but then the PC version of it has been so bad that WB had to pull it off of Steam and some other sites. How do you guys feel about that and the future of games being pre-ordered because of this?
I'm gonna start. So yeah, I was so.
You're the movie star. You gotta go first.
Oh golly, I was so upset last year with Assassin's Creed Unity, despite my shirt, and the fact that I feel that nowadays a lot of us are the beta testers because they can patch it in later, which I think is total BS. Because back in the good old days, the cart was ready to go, and it was ready to go. There was no patches. That was it. If there was glitches, well, I guess your sales are gonna suffer, but. Yeah, I think they're pushing out the games a little too quickly. Batman was pushed back a few times, which is cool. But yeah, this is the first I've heard of that. Again, I don't have data in the States, so I'm a slave to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it was riddlered with bugs.
How is the game otherwise? Like, have you played it on the consoles? Or?
It's fine on the consoles.
Yeah.
It works just fine. I mean, it looks great on the PS4.
It's 1080p, so it must be good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, because if it's not, I don't want to talk about it.
It's pretty. That's all that matters anymore.
But to be honest, like, I don't know, I'm kind of done with the Batman games. The first one was really great. The second one was still pretty good. Origin we don't talk about.
Oh my god.
And this one is, it's kind of more the same. I mean, they add
So
a
this
little
is
bit
a
here and
counter
there.
IGN opinion because IGN you know, everybody can have their opinion. Says this is the best, and it's been a constant evolution. And you're saying otherwise.
Yeah, I mean they add a little bit here and there.
Well,
but
as far as
I don't know if that
adding doesn't
constitutes
mean it's
an
better.
evolution.
No, as far as its story and as far as it's progressed since its original state back 2008 or 2009 when it first came out till now, it has definitely gotten better. And this one is no exception. It has gotten a better story, better, more immersive action, drama, comedy, a little bit of everything.
I just want to say one thing though on this action. Are you guys okay with the predominant amount of action centralized via into vehicle action? A lot of vehicle action.
You know what? That's
Batmobile
innovative.
action. The Bat Tank. Whatever you want to
Innovation always good. And sometimes yes. When if Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and Arkham Origins were all the same hand-to-hand combat, why not throw in something that they haven't had yet? Vehicles, and it's not so much around the vehicles. There's a lot of it, but not like. It's not more than 50% of the game, for sure.
I'm sorry, I'll take a better story, and I'll take longer time spent developing story than another toy to play in within the game.
But they did.
I'm not saying the story isn't good.
That's where they did. They brought the story and they said, okay, the story's already amazing. What else can we add? Just throw in a little bit of
already amazing. Famous last words from every writer. It's already amazing. Ship it.
It's not really innovation if the Sega CD already had driving in it too.
Okay,
They're just redoing.
But there hasn't been a Batman game with driving in it yet. So they're the first company to do it.
Well, no, because there is driving in the GameCube Batman Vengeance. You can pilot both the Batcopter and the Batmobile.
Okay.
It's not really an innovation when you're a decade late.
Let's say an open world driving.
I think
There you go. There you go.
innovation that adds to the enjoyment of the game is a lot better than innovation just for, oh, we got something new. Like, you know what, if you're just throwing it in there to say you have something new, like, why do it? Like, if it's going to really enhance the game and do something for it, rather than just, but now you can drive. Like, I have 9
Yeah, well,
games,
like
I can go
when they
play and
added the
drive.
crime scene thing, that was pretty cool. That was something new and different. But yeah, I don't care that much about vehicles.
Well, where's Mark Hamill? That's my question.
That, I mean, to be fair, I haven't played any of these games. So this is the
Okay.
there's the caveat.
Serious question for some of us here.
But I've read enough
We're
about
getting
it that I can chime in.
Yeah.
Now, from just a strict story point of view, a strict Batman point of view, the fact that Joker is out of this last installment, maybe at least that's what they're purporting.
Okay, with no spoilers going
no
out. Then
You don't have a good poker face, dude. You're like smiling.
What? Just looking at the posters. He's out, but he's not fully out. We'll leave it at that.
Talking
Well, it doesn't. That doesn't spoil anything of the ending. That just spoils midway through the game, beginning of the game. You see stuff that you turn it on, and if you haven't played an hour without seeing what I'm saying, then you didn't play the game right. But
there's a right and wrong way to play the game.
There is.
Well, thanks for.
In the first hour, you will see some stuff that your mind is already jumping to the end. What's at the end of this? And that's what keeps you.
You finished it. Have you finished it? So let me. Can I jump gears a little bit since we're talking about story? M rating. Warranted? Is it a story thing? Is it a graphical thing?
A little bit of both. Now, there's no nudity, mainly it's the drug orientation as well as the action, a little bit too much blood and gore. Not God of War or GTA style, but it's there beyond what Batman.
It's like a Mortal Kombat M. It's a retro M because of blood and guts.
Oh, yeah, basically.
Okay.
But then a lot of drug references and stuff, and that in the Americanized also does hit rated M in the ESRB ratings. So
what's the metric equivalent for Canadian players? Since we're talking about Americanized,
I don't know what the other.
It's the same. I'm just
Okay, so only Australia uses something different than if I'm not mistaken.
England or Europe uses the PEGI system.
Do they? Okay. Yeah, Australia I believe does too because they had to ban.
I know what that means.
So
it means I need an adult to play.
Yeah, they add green blood.
It means they need
no
an adult
green
to
blood.
buy it.
Green blood and sweat, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, until you enter the code in.
Hey, a chair's finally opened up here.
And he doesn't trust the hand yet.
Oh, I'm not touching that hand.
The fresh hand.
It's very gentle. It's a gentle hand. It's not.
I was told that by my first high school girlfriend. It wasn't gentle.
Let's keep this PG.
We don't care.
But yeah, getting back to it, as far as PC ports go, I don't think developers will ever learn their lesson because, like you were saying before, you can just patch it in later, so they're just getting lazier and lazier about it.
So I think us as gamers and consumers just have to stop. I am not buying Syndicate no matter how much I love the fact it's set in England and all that stuff. I'm not going to get it because I was so... Like, the mistakes in Unity were just unforgivable. They're ridiculous.
It's unprofessional, the mistakes.
A company as big as Ubisoft to ship that crap.
Yeah.
I mean, Rogue is a better game in my opinion anyway. But,
well, that's why I do like Steam though, because then I can just wait till it goes on sale. All the bugs are out. Good to go.
My turn to sit on the hand.
You know, that's a big thing that's going on about Batman 2 is that Steam is giving refunds now for the games, and
yeah, which they never did before.
Yeah.
Now, that's one thing I wanted to ask, because I've also talked to a lot of developers that are outraged at, I guess, Steam's policy. But for consumers, it seems very consumer friendly. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't understand why developers would be outraged when this has existed in the physical stores for so long that it's common courtesy to allow someone to exchange it for, X number of reasons. I don't have a lot of retail experience. Yeah, I know before you've worked in different retail settings. Maybe you can, in your previous history, you know what it's like for why people would come in and return something.
Well, because consumers, I think you guys all know here, consumers are upset and they can't talk to Warner Brothers, but they can talk to who sold it to them. Right? So regardless if it's digital or not, they feel that whoever sold it to them has a certain responsibility to give them a quality product. So I think if they're giving refunds, they should. Yeah. If it's a crap product,
I think it's a long time coming, and I think it'll force developers to get on their A game. I think a lot of people buy games on Steam when they go on the flash sales. It's the Christmas, it's the summer, and they think they're getting the bargain at $5, but $5 adds up over 40 games when you buy it. And I think you should still be able to refund it. Now, will Steam modify the refunding, saying if you buy it on sale, like at some stores, it's no refunds or no returns accepted? I mean, maybe developers will push that end. I know in the movie world, there's a lot of back and forth with what gets released and what studios do and how people can fight back against the theater chain. So it's the same kind of argument back and forth. Who wins the argument over consumers' rights?
We're here again, like I said.
I think the biggest complaint is...
At Retro City Games.
At Retro City Games here in Henderson Manor with Jay and Rob from Nintendo Quest. If you need to get a ticket to go see a screening of this awesome film in your area on the Power Tour 2015, NintendoQuest.com. If you would like to know a little teeny bit about it and what people think about it, check out our review on the In Case You Missed It page at YourGameSource.com. Aaron?
Well, I think the biggest thing developers are having with Steam is a lot of games now are built to be like $1 or $2, and they're like a 30-minute game. Well, you're allowed to play the game for 2 hours and then return it. So the people are beating the game and returning the game. So there's some developers, he sold, I think it was 18 copies of the game in a day, had 15 returns. And those people had already beaten, like 13 of them had beaten the game, had the final achievement of beating the game.
Is this a digital platform we're talking about?
Yeah.
You see, this is where we can get into digital versus physical, because if you're a retail owner, store owner, whatnot, you can tell if someone's opened the game.
Yeah.
Even in GameStop and stuff like that, they put a seal even if it's open, so you know. But yeah, you're kind of at the mercy. Digital, well, what are you going to do? You have to
you could do store credit, right? So they can have Steam dollars as an alternative. It's like, we won't refund you money, but your Steam wallet will increase, which they'll likely even just reuse and cycle like that.
Like a one-time exchange is reasonable.
Yeah, or like you're limited on the amount of returns that you can do within a week or within a month or something like that. So if you buy 200, like there's got to be a happy medium to make everyone happy. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of people aren't usually returning stuff anyway, so having some kind of limit.
I mean, even those of us who overspent on the Steam sale probably aren't going to return it.
That's you?
Then your list keeps growing, and you're like, man, I haven't... What game is that? I don't even remember what game that was.
Here's the real interesting part, and you guys just mentioned it, 18 purchase, 15 returns. This is going to affect how developers roll out games, and if they pursue sequels or spin-offs. XCOM was a game that is near and dear to me that was re-released in 2008, I think, and then, no, it was 2013. Yeah, so 2008 was the last PC, and then 2013, and then 2014 with the expansion pack. And now they're doing XCOM 2 just as a PC edition.
For starters,
because the PC sales were far outweighing the console, which we get, it's a point-and-click turn-based strategy, way easier on a PC. But a lot of those sales are from Steam at like $3 a copy. Now, so that has inflated how many units they've been able to move. Now, if that number is going to jump up and down, it's like before iTunes, right? The music industry was completely different. You could sell a gold record overnight, but then when iTunes came in and Napster, you're lucky to sell 50,000 instead of 500,000 units, just because the industry changed like that.
Oh, no, that's good. With Steam, it still remains to be seen. I know, like I said, there was a lot of developers. There's even some smaller developers that they would sell X amount, and due to Steam's return policy, it ended up where they were actually owing Steam because it just became so confusing for a little while there. But
that's like Walmart. You get a product in Walmart, you think you've hit the jackpot. Walmart's got great distribution. I think they're the #1 retailer in the world. But if someone returns something to them, they go after you. And if there's stuff still on the shelves, well, they ship it back to you. That's why, as a filmmaker, I dread a film in Walmart. I don't want a warehouse full of Nintendo Quest DVDs if it doesn't work out.
But I do agree with you that it is going to make, as long as Steam keeps us in place, it's going to. They're going to have these smaller games that 30 minutes, 2 hours. They're going to have to reassess how they're developing their games and put more time and resources, unfortunately, into it. Might make or break some, but unfortunately, fortunately for the gamers, it'll be a better product because of it.
Darwin developers, right? Developers by Darwinism. That's what we need, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. Well, I heard we had some Destiny fans here.
Well, dibs. The love and hate relationship with Destiny on my end. Jay loves Destiny.
I love Destiny. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely love it.
Well, Aaron,
Chris,
you wanted
I'll trade you.
Okay. Well, there was a little bit of a controversy in the past week with since E3 regarding the.
There was a big announcement, wasn't there?
Yes, the Taken King, as far as it's concerned, and the future plans of the game itself, at least for this year. Chris, did you want to elaborate more, or Jeremiah elaborate more on the Taken King expansion?
Honestly, I bowed out of Destiny before the expansion started getting crazy because the grind was insane, and I worked too much to keep up with it.
Well, the controversy stems from actually them introducing the different segments, the different tiers of how you pay for the new expansion, and it didn't include just for continuing players, for players who have played a while and have built up the level. It did not include an option, at least off the bat, that for all the stuff that people are going to get in the collector's edition and whatnot, that they would have to rebuy the whole game again. It did not have a separate edition just for the fans. Your reaction to that?
Is it not any different than a Game of the Year edition, considering it's going to be released almost to the exact day it was released?
Well, but they were talking collector's editions upwards of $60, $80. I'm not
$80, yeah.
Canada, yeah, $100.
Yeah,
I think Europe too. I think.
Is what, sorry?
It's like
In Europe too.
in Europe too.
But to somebody who already has the game,
I
has
see
played
your
a while, you would be rebuying the game that you already have. And
the MMO market, if I may call it that, I believe it's an MMO. It's never been really labeled as an MMO, but
even Bungie said it's not an MMO. They said it's not of that nature. But
because there's no communication.
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
story. I love the game, but there's so much wrong with it. But it's like World of Warcraft. You can't buy the first World of Warcraft game and then 2 expansions later. You have to get them all in serial. So this is like, they're just making sure, because, this is a new genre for console gamers for the most part. So they're making sure everyone gets what they need to get.
Yeah.
Makes sense? Plus you're getting a lot of cool collector stuff, a lot of in-game emotes. You're getting some banners for your character.
So it's essentially
some
now,
exotics.
it's a yearly subscription that they've introduced. Every year you're going to have to spend $80 to get the next big chunk.
My problem is that to use the term expansion pack for the 2 that came out
The first 2
is a stretch.
Yeah, we talked
They are
about this.
add-ons,
Yeah.
but they are not expansion packs.
Yeah,
If you look at something
and they
again,
even
like
expansion 1, expansion 2. The new one isn't even called an expansion, but this is a literal expansion.
But what I
When you
think
think of like World of Warcraft, and they had Cataclysm, Lich King. Those were expansions. This is Destiny's Cataclysm or anything else.
But on top of that announcement was a Eurogamer interview, and I want to give them a shout out for doing the interview with, I believe, the lead designer. That his attitude towards individuals such as yourself who love the game and played the game was, I guess, not exactly most favorable, as far as you would just have to rebuy the actual whole game to get the actual bonuses that you were looking for, like the emoticons and things of that nature, the dances. That actually a lot of people who invested a lot of time into it, and which caused a lot of uproar, which had Bungie and Activision. I do want to say that they did correct to an extent and made a $20 version available, which would include those.
That's fair.
But they did it after.
That's fair.
As a reaction.
What I was going to say, Rob and I talk about this all the time. I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but you can't put a monetary... You can't put a dollar amount on something that gives you so much joy. If Super Mario Brothers 3 just came out and it's $100, or if someone bought all the copies of Mario 3 and you couldn't get it, and to play Mario 3 was $100, I'm going to play $100 for it. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's worth it because I think Destiny is awesome. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If somebody's putting in 10, 20, 30 hours a week, how is $80 not justified for that? Which is probably what the developers are saying, this is a legitimate expansion, we need to sustain life on this. And we talk about nowadays, when a game is released, developers are scurrying to constantly put it on life support to make it relevant as long as they can. It's a really hard thing for them to do, and they need the support. So buy the game again every year, or buy the expansion, and make sure you have all the components to continue.
But
to
yes,
play.
Is this, like we were talking about earlier, is this Activision's work? Of course it is.
Because they sound, as I was telling you, they sound less like Bungie that most people have become familiar with over the past 15 years. They've become more Activision. And is that a byproduct of being part of Activision?
Yes.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
So, because and more power to them, because Call of Duty, obviously Guitar Hero, they ran that into the ground. Well, I'm sorry,
Tony
they're
Hawk.
resurrecting it again.
And Tony Hawk's coming back too,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
kind of weird too, right? Yeah.
First one with DLC finally.
Yeah, make no mistake, Destiny was not finished.
Well,
when it
everything
came
is
out,
DLC nowadays, or it doesn't ship.
Well, the story,
exactly.
But the story needs a lot of work. Yeah, even people who
There's a story in
extensively-
Destiny?
Yeah, exactly.
There actually quite a bit is. I mean, if you have to
Not in
wait
the
outside.
game, you have to leave the game to
Grimoire
find
See,
out,
and that I'm not a fan of. Or like,
I don't want homework. That's why I'm done school,
I do have a bunch of friends, thank God, that play with me. I've got about 10 guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy, not you.
We couldn't fit 11 in, so they
No.
If I didn't have that group of friends, to go to a website or a Facebook page to find a group, I think is ridiculous. I think you guys don't even have matchmaking that way for your raids yet.
No, not at all.
And then it's still really shoddy communicating with people, and they really have to fix that.
Yeah.
But the combat is so good in that game. It's so good.
Stephanie, you had something to add? I know.
Oh, I kind of missed part of this because I was chasing him. But for me, because we're talking about DLC and that kind of expansions, right? So I don't want to have to pay for something that shipped on the disc. I don't want to have to pay for something that they were working on before they shipped the game. If they were already working on it, I think it should have came with the game. They should have just delayed it. But, if you've got developers that are working on something after the game is shipped to improve that game, and it's going to improve my experience, I'll pay for it because I like, if I'm working, I want to get paid for my work. I'm not going to work for free. I don't expect developers to work for free. Like I said, I don't like the DLC ships already on the game. We've already made half the DLC.
But there are other companies out there who do it brilliantly, like CD Projekt Red, who introduces a lot. They're going to promise a lot of free DLC.
Like 16 DLC packs
But
for free.
they are actually working on 2 DLCs that they will charge customers, but that will be well worth their time.
Sure.
That should be the way to, that most of these other development companies should look at.
So let me ask you, what do you think about $7, $8 for Ryu and Smash Brothers? Do you think that's a reasonable price for one character?
No.
No?
Especially in the face of Mario Kart, where for like $12, $13,
But it's
you
Capcom,
got
why am I
twice
surprised?
the amount of tracks.
But how much, and
as the
again, I don't
original
have the
game.
characters, but how much was Lucas? Was he?
He was $6.
Yeah.
But five is a good number.
Yeah.
If they stay within 5, nobody moans and groans. If it goes beyond 5 for something for just one thing, that's when people start screaming horse arms.
Yeah. Oblivion Horse Armor.
Because Oblivion had 2 of the best DLCs in that time frame that had ever been released. But they also had horse armor. So what do people remember?
Horse Armor was the greatest DLC ever.
That was Aaron OSU Water Polo saying that. Please send your comments to him. Yes. So, but what does everybody remember? Horse armor. They don't remember Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles. Which were what?
Shivering Isles?
But it packed on another 40 hours. But they don't remember that. They remember the horse on it. So.
But the one thing is, like, with the way Smash Brothers and their community works, the hardcore fans that want to play every character, they will play every character. And for $20 to get all the 3 characters and like 3 extra bonus stages, they'll put easily another 50 more hours into the game doing it.
Here's the thing, right? We know there won't be any more characters for a while.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I just do this and I'll have everything for a while. It's not like we're saying there's going to be a new character every month, and it's now it's a subscription again.
Yeah.
Essentially, like a hidden subscription. Now it's $6.
And that's not bad, because I mean, imagine if they just brought those 3 on the next Smash Brothers game. We're either waiting another 5-6 years until another Smash Brothers game comes out, or they're going to just start bringing them out like Call of Duty once a year. Here's the new Smash for another 60, and it has the same characters, but we added 5 more.
Forget the amiibo.
Oh, and amiibos.
For $7 though, isn't the enjoyment you're going to get out of that character worth that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
7 plus $12.99 to fully interact with that character, right?
Sorry, Jeremiah. I know amiibos are just a little.
There's no Ryu amiibo yet. There will be though.
So, but I think of it as this way: if you can get $1 per hour or an hour per dollar you spend, I think you've easily gotten your money's worth. Some games, like if you play online games like Destiny, and I have about 300 some odd hours in there, it should have been a $300 game, and I've only spent $95.
I spent 300 hours shooting the cave.
Yeah, oh.
That killed my Destiny fun.
Unfortunately, my Xbox was out of commission when the cave was
up. Those who remember the cave remember it fondly.
I did it one day. My Xbox crashed, sent it out, and 2 weeks later I got it back. Update, no more cave.
Oh, I love the cave. I miss the cave.
Yeah.
Hashtag play with Rob.
Hashtag shoot the cave.
We are
Hashtag bring back cave.
There you go.
Yeah.
We are here again with Jay and Rob from Nintendo Quest. If you need any information regarding their Power Tour 2015, and if it's coming to your area, and if not,
it can come to your area.
Exactly. Head on over to
NintendoQuest.com. All the information you need on the existing Power Tour. If you want to request a screening in your hometown, of course, Facebook.com/the NES Club. We're both on Twitter at the NES Club, at NES Club J. We like talking to people. Reach out.
Absolutely.
And we want to say again, if you're in the Las Vegas or Henderson area, please come on down to Retro City Games. Want to give them again a thank you for allowing us to come here tonight. Thank you to Retro City Games. Appreciate it. And if anyone here has a question that they want to come on the podcast for, you're more than welcome to sit in and ask Jay and Rob. Questions galore. They are now legit movie stars.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with
Beverly
that.
Hills.
It's about to get swarmed around. Wait, you're a movie star? What?
They're shuttled around in limos and.
Is there limos?
No.
Oh, there's limo services all over town. You can get it anywhere.
Uber.
Yeah, Uber.
Wait, Uber hasn't hit here yet.
There you
go.
Wait, no, it didn't.
I thought they brought it back here, and Brandon Flowers from the Killers was the first one to take it.
I may be missing this on the phone.
And I thought that one of the taxi cab drivers parked his car perpendicular on the strip to protest it.
Wow.
Now, I don't think I could dream such fantastic details. The hand is free. If anybody wants to sit in the hand of fate and pleasure, it is free.
High five.
What's the next topic?
Not that we have a list or anything. Hold on.
Have we ever done Jay and Silent Rob?
No.
No, we haven't done it.
Is there copyright issues in there? Or?
Yeah.
It's Rob.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's it.
Parody law.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever picture me being the silent one?
What about Silent J and Rob?
Not really. No, he just doesn't know you all as well as I do. Give him time. What's next? E3? I thought we were going to talk about E3. What's
Did we talk about your favorite things at E3 yet?
Not
2015?
yet.
Okay, so how about that then? You saw E3. Did you watch the press conferences? Did you watch all the live coverage and everything from it? All right, so out of everything that was there, games, peripherals, the consoles, anything. Well, consoles haven't changed really, but anything else that was there, what were your favorite 1, 2, top 3 things, I guess, that you saw? That you were just like mind blown, like I never would have expected, or
never would have thought it would be great.
This is going to be maybe a little left field. But being a huge Jim Henson fan, I love the Nintendo presentation where they actually had authentic Henson Muppets. I know a lot of people slam Nintendo for what they did.
They always do weird stuff, though.
Yeah, Robot Chicken last year. But going to like a Muppet tangible thing to really emphasize their thematics of transformation, I thought it was great. I thought it worked. I don't care about what they unveiled. Everybody knew what it was going to be. I don't know why everybody's upset. They're a very conservative company. They don't tease that much. They're not like an Apple, like Steve Jobs, one more thing. That's not their style.
The one thing about Nintendo, though, is it's usually pretty tight-lipped, and that's why usually there's at least one or two things that they'll be like, oh, hey, and here's a new, F-Zero, is what I would love them to say. But,
you got a new Metroid.
They usually, sort of.
Give it a chance! Give it a chance.
Did you watch the Treehouse of Metroid?
No, I was too disappointed.
Then just shut up.
Too disappointed.
You didn't watch it.
Shots
you don't
fired.
know.
Shots fired.
No.
I want a new 2D Metroid. I don't want that garbage. I mean, as much as I
Well, the
love
good news
Prime,
is the NES still exists, and you can go back and play the original.
And be totally in shock when Samus takes her helmet off at the end and it's a girl.
What? Whoa!
17 years spoiler alert.
But I did like the Star Fox, though. That looks pretty good. So that's
the Super Mario Maker steals all of E3 for me. Still,
that is really good.
I agree with that.
That was my favorite thing last year when it was announced, and it's my favorite thing this year.
Knowing that they put in the physics for each of the games, I was like, brilliant move. That's the best thing you could have done with that game.
Yeah. And then what about the? Are you guys fans of Amiibos or not?
Yes.
The costume Mario, where you can tap Wii Fit Trainer on, and then the Wii Fit Trainer is an 8-bit little Wii Fit Trainer.
Yeah,
dude, that's so awesome.
Exactly.
I love that. Like,
can I just say a story? I remember when Angry Nick and was it Jamie or was it who went to Nintendo booth when they first announced Wii Fit Trainer?
Was it Jamie or Corey?
I think it was Jamie.
Maybe Jamie, actually, yeah.
And they were like, Nintendo made them wait a half an hour in between announcements of what they had just announced as an Amiibo. We've got another new Amiibo to announce coming up very soon. And all the members of the press were there waiting in the Nintendo area, waiting, and our drum roll, Nintendo presents Wii Fit Trainer! And everybody just had that same kind of groan that they had at the PlayStation Experience with Final Fantasy. And they're like, oh, really?
Wii Fit is it's one of the top selling games ever, right? And I think that's just their way of immortalizing and us not forgetting that, hey, this was a thing.
I bought one. I'm not going to say anything about one.
I'm surprised they didn't troll people with the male trainer announced. I mean, that just seems like such an obvious move to release him.
That's going to be a $7 DLC.
Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, that whole baby line. I kind of expected them to go with like the Mario Kart characters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So,
well, I mean, you saw obviously the 8-bit Mario that they're having come out now. So, I mean,
a couple of different versions of that one.
Yeah.
Going back to Mario, like just semi-sidebar to Mario Kart, I can't believe they finally are putting in other Nintendo franchise characters.
Like Zelda.
That seemed like the most obvious thing for them to do.
So it's basically Smash Cards.
Yeah, exactly. It's what they should have done from the get-go.
Well, they already had, you had like Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong already in it. So, I mean, they're not exactly...
But they're technically
in
where
a way.
Mario started.
No, they're Jumpmans.
Well, no, Mario is labeled as Donkey Kong's rival.
Yeah.
It is official in the past, but so there is the tangible. Diddy's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
It's not like it's Donkey Kong.
They should make Nintendo carts and just bring out everybody. I think that would be for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do they do other than drive a cart? It's not like it's
or
that
sell
hard
it
to
as
put them in
DLC.
there.
I mean, that's what they're doing anyways.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
DLC, now that Nintendo's kind of jumped that boat.
Now that they've figured out online play and how to
Triforce
use
as
the
it
internet.
Yeah.
It took a while.
That's the biggest thing that nobody's talking about. It's just, okay, it's finally here. Nintendo has figured out how to use their network. We as players have finally gotten around the clunkiness of the Miiverse and all that crap.
Oh, I love Miiverse. Miiverse is the best thing ever. Just reading all the ridiculous posts. So I play a lot of Splatoon, and I spend about half my game time like just reading random Miiverse posts, which are golden, absolutely golden.
If you leave it on and you hear, what is that noise? Oh, I left the Wii U on.
So, Jay, what was your favorite thing in E3?
Star Wars Battlefront.
Star Wars Battlefront?
Hands down.
Hands down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Waiting for that for 10 years now, because the last one was 05.
Yeah.
Seeing the first Hoth demo, and it was either Tatooine or Jakku they showed, I don't know which one, but the Hoth one. And then at the very end, everyone's wondering, you're going to see Jedis, you're going to see Sith kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then seeing Vader choke the guy out, and then Luke comes out, I was just like...
and you see him just go hand to hand, and you're like, this is going to happen. This is what my game's going to be like. It makes it all complete.
Almost Fallout 4, almost. Was my second.
Now, both of those games are also coming out this year. I mean, this...
A week apart, 7 days apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm excited for Fallout.
You hear all these other games, like Final Fantasy VII Remake. You hear like all these other games, 28, maybe even later. Some of these other games that they announce, and they've announced like the Division about 3 years ago, finally coming out now. Now
Last Guardian.
Last Guardian.
Oh yeah, hey, remember Last Guardian?
Who knows how long that's still going to come out? But they announced these, or they really brought them out, and now it's coming out this year.
Yeah.
These are one of the first 2 titles to kind of do this that are AAA titles in a long time, besides Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, the yearly franchises. Yeah. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that they've been working on it for so long and it was keeping it a secret so well, or
Well, keeping a secret like that is tough, and I remember the rumors surfaced years ago it was going to be Fallout Online.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, don't do that, please.
Elder Scrolls already tried.
Yeah, as soon as they showed the trailer, and it wasn't a cinematic trailer, it was in-game, I was like, oh my god, it's going to be this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, it's going to be this year, and I was like... And the other great thing about that presentation we talked about too is that Fallout Shelter, if you guys have iPhones.
I do, I have
it. The game is awesome, man. And they're like, oh, and by the way, it's available right now.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend and I were like, grabbed our phones.
Nobody
and, like,
watched the rest
downloaded
of the
it.
presentation from home because they
Apple
were
servers
downloading.
crashed straight away.
Yeah, I was like number 1 in like 4 seconds or something crazy.
It
like
actually,
that.
for 2 days, was ahead of Candy Crush.
Wow.
That's insane. That's insane. And the game was great too.
And you can.
And it was making more money than Candy Crush.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And 3 would be Mario Maker, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that game's just, you don't even have to say anything about it. It's just going to be awesome.
Now, for me, being, and I'm just going to throw on mine because I've been waiting to say this, being a Microsoft fanboy that I am.
Really?
No, not at all. I don't know how. But the biggest
I saw
thing.
you like giving yourself selfies when you were at the Xbox conference.
I was doing that a lot.
Are you a consoleist? Is that what's going on?
I'm
You're not console agnostic?
I'm everywhere. So I do a lot of console gaming, I do a lot of PC gaming, and I do a lot of older console gaming.
Lift up your shirt. I want to see if you have a Microsoft tattoo.
No,
Do you bleed green?
Remember the Halo 2 one?
no. But I do admit, like the
GTA 4 on the other arm.
Yeah.
the only other tattoo besides the one that I'm planning on getting next that I really want to get is based on the game that I really want to talk about, Gears of War. I've been a gearhead from day one since it came out, and I feel even though Halo, suited the Xbox and they brought it to life, I think Gears has kind of perfected the way the Unreal Engine and as well as most games in that.
Gears was Xbox 360 to me, whereas Halo was the original.
Okay, yeah, but as far as like its multiplayer launch, and Halo 2 was very good with it. I think Gears kind of revolutionized a lot of this stuff. They brought out a horde mode, which Call of Duty. Even Halo and ODST with Firefight, they kind of started this, way of games first-person shooters were going, and revolutionized it. Said, we're going to do this, and everyone else said, oh, let's try this in our game. Zombie mode started coming up, and that became very popular after Gears of War's Horde mode.
I just find Gears is hit or miss with people. Like, either people love it or they don't want to talk about it because they're busy with Call of Duty or they're busy with Halo.
And that's my thing, is I love it. I'm glad that they're bringing out the first one again for Xbox One. I love it.
Really?
I will live and die by that game.
That's cool,
But I
It's
want to
cool.
ask you, Chris, did you like the way Xbox One handled the beta for the revamped version of Gears of War? Asking for people for sending a two codes. You and I know this personally. Tell the story. Tell what happened.
So I got 2 codes. Actually, I got technically 3 codes. One was a duplicate, and they said, "Hey, here's your code to download, so forth." And I was at E3, so I got the code on Monday when they announced it. I downloaded it a few days later, and then I looked at the next code, and I was like, "Oh, it's the same code." Oh, here's another code that they gave me. Whatever. I guess I got 2. Gerald, here, I'll give you a free code. Gave it to him. Hit my code, download it, and it says I'm not authorized to play. I started looking at the emails. I'm like, what the heck? I can't even play this game. And I look at the first code, and it says, "Here's your code to download the title." Look at the second email or second message. Here's your code to activate and play the game. The one I sent him was my activation code, and he had already used it.
So we neither of us could play the actual beta.
Because he couldn't download it and I couldn't play.
Right.
But can I tell you a secret?
Two halves of a medallion separated at birth.
But can
Will
I
they
tell
get
you a
together?
little secret he doesn't know? The previous day, I had given one code to our own 7th Valkyrie, thinking, oh yeah, I was going to be real cool. There you go. There's a Gears of War code. Once I realized that happened, I had to give her the second code.
I think that's a little bit overkill in my
'cause,
opinion.
well,
2 codes for a game that's
what they had
called
said-
Gears, 2006?
2005 was the first one.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
2006, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. And the first code, when it came out, I read the timestamp for it, came out early in the morning, right after the press conference, about 10, 11 in the morning Pacific time. Then about 3 or 4 in the afternoon was when they sent out the other one.
Right.
So it took some time for it to come out, and I guess what they were trying to do is have people pre-download it before the actual game came out. Same way they do digital games, where you can download it and you can't activate it, which makes sense. I understood why they did that.
Sure.
It just threw us all for a loop because no one really saw or no one really realized, hey, this is an activation.
Gamers don't want to read.
And I don't
they
read.
just wanna
I see a
play.
25-digit code, and I'm like, that download now, and then didn't realize it was another one.
Yeah.
I think I love Gears. I think the peak of the series, in my opinion, was the Horde mode in 3.
Okay, yeah.
That was my favorite. I didn't like Judgment, and to be
And not
honest,
many people did, but
the new one looks okay. It looks more like a survival horror kind of thing. I know it's not, but but it looked.
But they have to add that grittiness, that darkness to it, where it's like how scary can we make this game, where you're fighting for your life because you are in a numbers game. The Gears are always outnumbered by the Locusts or by these new creatures that are coming out.
I do like how Gears got the closing spot in Halo Open.
Yeah,
that was usually you would think Gears would open it and Halo would close it. But
I gotta be honest, my only experience with Gears is the Megadeth song that they did for it.
Yeah.
Gears of War. That's it. I apologize. I'm not.
And, I like that song too. That was probably put it at the top because I'm like, ooh, I like the lyrics as well.
There you
go. But aside from that, I mean, I would say that's my number one, just being biased.
Sure.
Number two, which really wasn't announced as much, a little bit more playthrough, is Kingdom Hearts. And because I've liked the Kingdom Hearts series and I like Final Fantasy, Disney, all this other stuff to put it together, that they're finally finishing to get something available for the next few years.
Sure.
I think that's going to be a big thing in the next few years for anyone. And now that it's also released on Xbox One, Square Enix has announced it's not exclusive anymore to PlayStation. I don't have to.
I never understood that. It's like you're cutting off half of your revenue.
It's the time frame when
they
Square
could pay you a chunk of money to have it for a few months, like PlayStation likes to do, right?
But
well, exclusive on PlayStation
for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Go back 10 to 15, 20 years ago, and games were exclusive by the developers of who they were in contract with.
Of course, but it's like, and then the evolution of that, then it's kind of going back to
yeah. And that's why
I
Square
got them
Enix,
both, so I don't care.
Put so much effort into getting Nintendo games multi-platform, and now they're trying to get them Sony exclusive.
Yeah, as a Destiny fan, that's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like it really bugs me.
I still don't even have like some of the some of the exotic weapons that PS4 members have because Xbox won't get it until September.
I got it on the one because the majority of my friends sorry, buddy.
Yeah,
the majority of my friends got it on Xbox.
The ironic part about that is everybody I talk to is playing it on PlayStation 4, and yet you and all our other friends are playing it on Xbox One.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I told you, man. I'll do Battlefront. I'm gonna get it on both. So there you go.
Yeah.
So much time.
Yeah, I was playing it on PlayStation.
Yeah, there's so much content missing from the game. It's really unfortunate.
See, I'm glad somebody was hyped about E3 because I was just bored out of my
Well,
mind
really?
watching this.
What was the biggest surprise for me? And I know.
And I'm like, Final Fantasy VII Remake, we all knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah, you mean the cinematic where you
Well,
have to
you
see the
mean we
back
knew
of
it was
Cloud's
coming
head?
like a decade ago?
Well, yeah.
We knew
At least
they
it
said
felt like
after
it.
After you and I sat in a PlayStation experience, and we were in the middle of that groan that you heard when the PC port was actually coming to
Yeah,
the PS4,
and they were shamed
and
into doing it.
And that's what they wanted to pass off. Now they're still going through with it, but at least they're doing something to.
The thing Square
help those
has
customers.
always said since like the PS2 was announced was we will remake Final Fantasy VII when it's no longer playable on a current system. PS3
Well, yeah, but then
still
they're
plays
like,
PS1,
oh,
and
it'll
then
cost us
PS4
billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Do you know
It'll
what?
take 10 years to make, and blah, blah, blah.
So, I mean, you knew it was coming on the PS4 from the moment they said the PS4 is
I thought it was
not
coming on the
backwards
PS3.
It's weird how they don't want to make
never
a
thought
sequel to that. I mean, they made the film, right? But
compatible. Made a couple.
Well, they made
and
twice
then they
as
made
more.
Dirge of Cerberus, and it's funny how they do that, and everyone wants a 7-2, but they make 13, which I can't stand.
Yeah.
And they make
Same
13-2
boat.
and 13, whatever the other one was, the fighter. or
Lightning
whatever it was.
Returns,
Yeah, the action game or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Come up
mean,
the collector's edition, still haven't opened.
So,
you're not missing much.
well, you know what? The biggest thing is like even all those games. You say you didn't like 13. Some people will swear 13 is either not the best,
They're
maybe,
drunk.
but probably
all
the
opinion,
top.
everything is opinion.
Yeah,
of course,
and the
yeah.
entire all the universes.
Sorry, guys, I got to step away, but I want to come back to
Of
this.
course,
I will
yeah.
be back.
Yeah.
Carry on the final.
You know,
Fantasy
how about we
discussion.
pause it?
And go.
No.
It's live.
Yeah, we can't pause. But then the same thing. People say 7 was the best. People say 10 was the best.
4 was the best.
4 was the best. You know,
9.
9.
You like
a lot
9.
of people say 9.
9 is the best.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, 9,
9.
4.
4,
Skip. Hold on.
skip.
7.
9.
What did you say?
9.
3. Which Final Fantasy is the best?
Are you talking about set like 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
6.
I mean, I can only base off of the ones I played. I'll go with 8.
8.
It's interesting.
Like I said, I have.
I mean, either between 10 and actually, I did like 13, but I still think 10 was probably better.
What do you think about them remaking 10 and 10-2 on PS3 and then on PS4?
And Vita? Oh, wait.
And
Oh,
Vita
yeah.
too, like, okay, enough. I'm good. I'm good.
I
It
like
just
the
came
Vita,
out,
but,
it
I mean,
felt like.
I mean, it's the same thing that they, you know, when PS4 just come out and they brought out Gran Turismo on PS3, their own title, they couldn't even bring it out for the better console, or newer console, I should say.
Yeah.
Because they had promised it on the PS3 for like 20 years.
Yeah, but then they could have just been like, hey, we're also bringing a PS4 version. Now they're just like, we're going to wait till 7, which could be another 2 to 3 years.
Right.
But I think that they should have at least, said we're going to bring it out on PS4 once it's available, like they've done with Last of Us, like they've done with all these other titles. They can.
Last of Us was too soon. That one was way too soon.
But
a
again,
year
like,
later.
the 10 and 10-2 was a year later too on PS4, right?
Yeah.
It's like, here's what I think. This is my opinion, and I might be right or wrong, but stop remaking stuff.
And make newer
just
ones?
Stop, make new games. Yeah, I mean, I
Well, they still have
understand-
15
I understand there's
coming.
kids that weren't alive in
You
'97
get
and all
one
that, but
remake
still,
per series every 5 years.
stop
That's it.
remaking movies. Stop remaking songs. Just make new content, and that's good. That's my opinion.
Well, I know I say it on almost every podcast, but I just want to say that again, it goes back to what the complaint was when, you and I were in the stores where developers were saying, oh, use games, they're the evil, they're the ultimate evil. And now they're finding a way to monetize their path. And it's cheaper, it's a lot more cost efficient for them. And I know a lot of the argument is, well, they're not focusing on newer games, new IPs and whatnot, but for sometimes it's a fiscal decision of these companies. So they can't have it both ways. Once they started being able to monetize these games from the past, you haven't heard that argument from a lot of these developers anymore about going in and selling and buying these games.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that started with the GBA when they started re-releasing the NES. The NES Black Box series. They had Ice Climber, Balloon Fight, and Mario Brothers. And they were selling really well, and then everyone else was like, hey, wait a second, we have old games too. And then it just started flooding out with the collections and whatnot.
Well, yeah, but part of that too is being able to play those games portably. That's awesome.
That's
I
true,
mean,
yeah.
It is awesome.
Very true.
But when
And-
you go
and
from
again-
a Game Boy Advance or even a 3DS, which is more modern, and it's running at the same power or 10 times better than NES, SNES, or a 64.
It's a way
even.
too for new people to play.
Yeah.
And we've been
They
around.
can make it smaller.
I think since the beginning. I'm almost 40 now, so I mean I've been
Don't lie to us.
since the no for real.
Really?
And yeah, so I've seen it all, and I forget there's kids that don't even know what Final Fantasy VII is, right? So they should get to experience it too, and they don't have appreciation for the most part for like arcade graphics, which Final Fantasy VII is ugly, man. If you try and play it now, if you try and play it on a
I
flat
can't
screen,
play it
it'll
anymore.
blind.
Yeah, I tried it on a PS1. I hooked it back up to it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is like 2 or 3 years ago, but I tried it again. And I'm like, the hell am I looking at? This doesn't look
Graphics
like what I thought.
aren't everything. I'm not
That's
saying
the
that,
problem.
but
That whole generation, like, I really can't go back and play many games from that gen. That
the early
were
polygon
the
stuff.
high tech stuff.
I
you know,
tried
some
that,
of the-
I tried that.
Some of the artistic stuff I can play because it doesn't just like because you know you had 8-bit and then you had the SNES and then you had that.
Well, that's why stylistic games age so well.
Yeah.
It's because they're not focusing on trying to, pump out whatever
Because
highest
in
power
5
they
years,
can.
when something looks better, your high tech game looks like crap. Now stylistic games stay the same the whole time.
A good story is going to endure any improvement in graphics. Like, if the game is fun to play and enjoyable and the story is worth playing, you know what? Yeah, it might look bad. It might look better if they remade it. But, the game was good. The game was enjoyable. It had a story. They put effort into that. They didn't just go, hey, let's do something and make it look really good. Which, like you guys said, 5 years? It isn't going to look really good anymore. It's going to look like...
And that's why Final Fantasy has actually been thriving. I mean, now it looks great, but who knows what it's going to look like in the future. But every story has always been good, or at least to certain people has been.
There's always a huge cult following for every franchise. Like, we all had different answers for the ones we liked, right? So.
True.
Well, speaking of cult following, the one I wanted to get into, and I'm sure Corey wants to speak his piece on, Shenmue 3. Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Corey probably does too, but he's not with us right now. Not passed away, he's just at home sleeping.
He's not physically in the building.
Yeah, that was the biggest surprise for me.
How would he have let you borrow the mic if he's dead?
What? Maybe I took it off his dead corpse. I looted it. That's how we do it in games.
To Chris.
That was his drop. It was an epic mic
Chris
drop.
got the mic and all of Corey's debt.
Yeah, the Dreamcast was one of my favorite systems of all time. Like, Dreamcast and Super Nintendo are my all-time favorite. And when I heard Shenmue 3, I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like,
what did you think of it as a Kickstarter, though?
Well, I thought...
As a fake Kickstarter, in reality.
Well, that's the shady business.
What do you mean by fake
Okay,
Kickstarter?
that's what I was going to explain it a little bit. So what happened...
Don't say those words. Propaganda.
Yeah, there's... So what happened was the day that they announced their Kickstarter starting, the president came up and he was like, hey, we have this game coming out for you, but we need your help. It's all up to you if this gets built. And they put it up on Kickstarter. They needed a $3 million, about $3 million, I'm going to roughly estimate these numbers, goal to actually get it started. As soon as it hit, Sony had come in and put in about 200% of what the people had put in, just to also get it back in. Now, this is still kind of a rumor, still kind of, jumping back and forth, that Sony was just saying, hey, if you can get this mark, we will let you fund it. Otherwise, if you don't get this mark, we're just not going to fund it.
Sure.
And so at that point, people were like, is this really Kickstarter, or was this just to see if we can actually get the artists to get us to pay again?
Well, the shady thing is, like, if you go on the Kickstarter, there's no mention of Sony. There's no mention of any kind of outside
They say
help.
that they're keeping their...
And people are shelling out, like, $10,000 a pop for some of those high-end, Kickstarter items. And, believing, hey, this game needs my help to make it, which it kind of does, sort of.
But then Sony just goes and throws down their own money. And that's where people are confused. Now, I believe it's fine. But some people are like, no, that Sony did a bad thing, or Sony was, bullying them. It could go in just 100 different directions on this. But they won't release any official statement, so we can't really get a clear answer.
Right. See, and it's hard for me because I've done a lot of stuff on Kickstarter. When we did our first campaign, we raised just over $16,000. That wasn't going to cover the entire amount of the film, and I never pretended like it was going to cover the amount. It was going to affect the kind of film we made.
Yeah.
And it certainly did. If we would have got $50,000, $100,000, it would have been way different. Film. We would have been Alaska game hunting.
We would have had that chase scene we were talking about.
Yeah,
the dinosaur. Yeah.
Yeah, the chase scene with the dinosaurs. Yeah.
With 50 cops behind you.
Yes.
Here's what it comes down to for me. I've never thought of crowdfunding, regardless of the platform, as the make or break. For me, it's marketing. I want people to know about this film. I want to get the word out there. And if I can make money on a marketing campaign to help fund what I'm trying to do, instead of a marketing campaign costing me money, then it's really a win-win. And that's what this Shenmue sounds like. They wanted to do it as a marketing campaign. It was going to be made in one form or another.
Yeah.
And now they've got the company support, the corporate support in Sony, allegedly.
Yeah.
But they've also got the fan support from the get-go as well.
True.
Marketing. That's how I see it.
And that's where I'm agreeing. I don't think that this was a bad. I mean, maybe a little bit backdoory if it was something shady in there, but regardless, they're going to get the money. They're going to make it, and they did get the help from Kickstarter, and of course, they're going to get all their benefits if they did pay this much. But then also Sony is at least saying, okay, I guess you do have the fan base. I guess this will be a real thing, and we're going to help you make it. So maybe that's what it was, and it's just word of mouth. Whoever says it can change the way the story is.
I will
and that's
say
the way
it's kind of an interesting story to that.
Yeah.
One of those like high-end, 10,000 marks was dinner with the guy, and the Pokemon creator was the one who shelled out for that because he's like, I'm super excited. I can't wait to have dinner with him, and it's it's kind of funny. It's bringing a lot of fans together, but it's still the shadiness of it that is bugging me the most.
Jay, you've got a love-hate relationship with established brands, entities, and developers or filmmakers going to Kickstarter.
I think if you have something that's already been established, unless you don't want to go to one of these corporate companies like Activision, I think it's just kind of like Yooka-Laylee got funded in like 2 seconds. Everyone knew that was going to happen. Toe Jam and Earl, of course it did.
Yeah.
Really? Did we really think Shenmue wasn't going to get funded? Come on.
And then what is the new Castlevania game called again? It's
Bloodstained.
Yeah.
There you go.
I always thought Kickstarter was a platform for people just starting out. Again, apparently not. So it's not a huge deal to me. You know what? We're going to get Shenmue 3, and I'm cool with that. I don't really care who put the money. Give us Shenmue. That's all I can.
Yeah. That's kind of my same vote.
Unless it's like Sony going to be like, oh, we paid like $200,000, now it's a Sony exclusive. Yeah. Then again, that's a little irritating, but
who knows what that deal was with them, because that could have been the deal where they threw that money to say, okay, we're going to fund it. Now you're going to kind of follow our rules because we're going to give you the money for it. And who knows what they're going to do with that? But you didn't see any Microsoft bids, or you didn't see any help, I should say, not bids. But you know that Sony did throw some money in.
Yeah.
So when that happens, then there could be not an obligation, but there could be something in that where
Sony would be highly recommended.
Yeah.
They work out something with Sony.
Another time to exclusive, perhaps.
Yeah. So
Sony seems to be a fan of those.
So now our area that we're in, and you can see around here, we're all surrounded by Nintendo.
Where are we at?
What an excellent question, Gerald.
Since we haven't said it yet, we're at Retro City Games here in Las Vegas.
Not in the past 10 minutes, Retro City Games in Henderson, Nevada!
I'm losing my voice trying to yell that out. So here in Henderson, Nevada, Retro City Games, the one greatest place for all these classic games, and honestly, it's...
And they're having a tournament behind us.
Yeah, I was looking at all this, and I keep peering over there, watching guys score the highest score in Super Mario Brothers. But
Contra. I'm watching the Contra.
Contra, yeah.
Bomberman, Gradius, Adventure Island,
game earlier.
Rad Racer.
It's amazing here.
This is what gaming is missing.
So all these retro games and all these classic games, and obviously all the games that you had to go through and find and collect.
For Nintendo Quest.
For Nintendo Quest.
NintendoQuest.com if you're looking for more information on that feature link.
You gotta plug it, man.
Just keep throwing them in there. Plugins. Now,
YourGameSource.com.
Somebody get the duct tape.
I saw the film, and I don't want to spoil what your favorite games are and everything like that. But as far as what's here, and as far as what you see, what is your most inspirational? I guess without spoiling anything, what is your most inspirational game of your childhood that you've played that you will always remember, that you either still play or just will just love it for life?
My first experience was with Super Mario Brothers. I grew up with the 2600, and my friend in grade 6, Canadian grade 6, he got
6th grade.
6th grade.
Grade 6, what is that?
There's the metric converter.
He got the NES. He had a big slumber party. We all sat down, picked up this. I don't even know what this controller is. Japanese looking thing. And I was like, what is this? And Mario was so big on the screen, and the sprites were colorful. We played it all night until the last man standing. Everyone kept falling asleep. And it was in a basement without windows, and I remember his mom coming down, and she's like, holy crap, like, you guys are still awake. It's 9 a.m. And we were like, what? And it was cool because you could finish it. You could finish it with the story. You could find secrets. You could do high score challenges.
Yeah.
My favorite NES game is Zelda 2. Because it frightens me, to be completely honest.
What frightens you? Part of the game, or
the game is terrifying? It's grueling. It's brutal. It's unforgiving.
I see what you mean.
And I remember playing it as a kid, and you get to Death Mountain, and it's lights out.
Yeah.
So a year after we shot the film, I sat down and played it a bunch of times, and I finished it 3 times that year.
Oh, no! Yeah. Oh, hold on 1 second.
Oh my goodness, we have a
still
catastrophe.
Bad luck.
Keep going, keep going. Those memories keep going on. We're looking at the high score here at Retro City Games.
Oh, okay, I see what's happening here. We're getting caught up in the tournament. Jay, what about
a
couple years ago, you started playing Zelda 2 again?
Conquer that fear, finished the game 3 times in a week, and now it's, my favorite NES game. It's just a tremendously underrated game, I believe. Love it. You guys like Zelda 2?
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. I mean, I know
the
it's
first one I beat.
a lot of people.
I watched people do the first one because I was 5 or 6, and
That's
then
how I played the first
I got
one.
to do the second one on my own. And I remember after I beat it, my dad did it with Game Genie, and we had one of the original ones where they misprinted the code, and so you had. You couldn't die except on that part where you're going past the fence and they're throwing the stuff down at you, and you got 1 hit killed there.
Oh.
And so the code in the book was wrong, and then you had to switch, I think, the last number from an A to an E or an E to an A, I don't remember. And that made you invulnerable to include that spot. And so it was just so much fun to watch my dad go through, and he's terrible at games, and he's playing, and he gets to this place and he dies. And we're all like, oh gosh, he just died with the cheat code put in. He is not going to be happy.
I finished it, the last guy, besides Dark Lake, is Thunderbird. And I remember just being white-knuckled playing that and actually sweating. I'm like, after I finished it, I'm like, I haven't felt that way in a long time. Like, a game hasn't been that challenging, and
the sense of satisfaction when you get through it.
You're one with Link, like you are that character. You're just so in the zone with it.
I think a lot of games today, you finish it like, okay, that's great. Thank God that's over, so I can not play it again.
Or it's like Halo. I love Halo, don't get me wrong, but you die in Halo and you go back 5 steps. Big deal.
Yeah.
There's no punishment. Like, Dark Souls is great because it's so punishing.
I'm afraid to play Dark Souls.
You should be afraid.
For me,
I'm
for me,
afraid.
I mean, there's a lot of classic game stories, but for me, the first game that I bought with my own money was Mega Man 5 because that was the newest Mega Man at the time. I'd played the previous ones, but I'm massive Mega Man fan.
It's awesome.
And Mega Man 5 was, brand new one at the time. I was getting my own allowance, so I was like, yes, new Mega Man. Bought it. Not the best Mega Man, but I played the crap out of it because
of course, yeah.
I mean, that was my game,
Yeah.
and I loved every death, every success, everything.
That's funny you say that. The first game I purchased when I started working was Mega Man 3. That's awesome. It was the very first game. My whole check was like $83 or whatever, and I bought Mega Man 3.
The first NES game that I bought with my own money that was brand new because I had bought 1 or 2 used games. That's where Ghosts and Goblins came from.
Right.
The first brand new game I bought was Clash of Demon Head. Now this is a little bit of a cult thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time you played Clash of Demon
I dig it.
But it's a cool kind of strategic play on stuff. Isn't it great though that you can still put like an NES game in that you maybe haven't played, and it feels just like playing NES games as a kid.
Absolutely.
I don't know what that is. Like playing PlayStation or Xbox or whatever it is, there's that same feeling for those things. But when you play
It
an
feels
NES
old
game,
when you do a PlayStation game. It feels awesome when you play an NES game.
why do you think that is?
I guess for at least our generation, that's really what we grew up with, and we have.
It's more
all
than
those
nostalgia,
amazing
though.
me-
It's more than
It's
nostalgia.
like riding
Yeah.
a bike. I mean,
It's also-
you remember that. Whereas, like, every new game is different. It's got its own rule set. It's got
we
its
went
own
to before.
controls.
Everything, 5 years old feels old compared to what it is today. It is so it's like a 360-degree turn from where we are now as to what the NES was. You know, the NES was all about gameplay, maybe a little bit of story.
NES is all about community, and that's what makes this great here at Retro City Games in Henderson.
It took over the arcade scene.
You guys, we were Game Source doing the podcast here at Retro City Games with the guys from Nintendo Quest, NintendoQuest.com.
Wait, you are one of the guys from Nintendo Quest. Did you just refer to yourself
as
as
the third person?
He's very good at that.
George is getting upset.
Hold him out on
One
it.
screening and already listened to him.
I'm ending on a high note.
So,
but that's what it's community. That's what made the NES stuff great. Everything after
the NES had multiplayer, couch co-op. Most of the games nowadays you have to go online. So yeah, I might be playing.
Most of the games you are sitting in a room by yourself.
XXX or whatever, but I have no clue who that really is. I have no memories with that person.
Well, there wasn't the internet back then. There wasn't like it is now. You had to ask your friends, like, how the hell do I beat this?
And that's what made it great. There was a culture outside the gameplay.
Specifically for that one jump in Mario.
That one little screenshot of what was coming out fall 1989, whatever release that was.
And there was no grueling tutorial that lasted 20 minutes. It's like
here you go.
Go, yeah.
Here you
Good
go.
luck.
Learn from your mistakes, right?
Read the guide a little bit. Maybe we'll give you the buttons you press.
But it's the culture outside the gameplay where you'd go to school and at recess you did you punch the right block to get the hunk of meat in Castlevania? Did you find the coin box and Mario 1-2? It's all that you're doing behind the scenes, and we talk about that with Destiny a little bit.
How to bring Aeris back to sorry anybody who hasn't played 7, Aeris back to life.
What?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Roast him at the stake.
It's all those things that you could do at school, and now you don't talk about games outside of
because people don't talk in general. There's a serious communication breakdown because there's not enough reasons for people to be in the same space.
Well,
there are no arcades anymore. They're disappearing. They're starting to come back as barcades with our generation, but
even now, if you do go and try and get help from another person, it's on a forum, and you ask your question, and you get 10 people that answer it.
You get one
and you're
answer and 9
thanks.
trolls.
Yeah, and that's it. There's no real conversation with these people anymore. It's just like, oh, okay, cool, thanks, bye.
Have you taken Jade to the Las Vegas Pinball Museum Hall of Fame?
Not yet. It's on the list. We plan to check out that side of the strip in that area this evening.
With a margarita. With a margarita guitar.
The boot.
The boot. Okay, we got to get some votes. We'll see if we get some Twitch responses. Does Jay need a margarita? Boots,
yes.
Or does he need a guitar?
Yes.
Does he need
or both?
The dice?
I need them both.
I honestly think he needs the guitar more.
And the Eiffel Tower too.
Yeah.
I think he needs the guitar, and we need some air guitar with the guitar.
Well, that will be some video.
You're a musician, so that's why the guitar makes the most sense.
Yes.
Where that you're drinking, and then you're like, oh, it's a real guitar, right?
Tony, you gotta activate star power. Gulp.
And security.
Look who's here.
We got Doug from Retro City.
Yeah.
From Retro City Games here in Henderson, Nevada.
693 North Valley Verde.
Squeeze in here so we can get you in the
Come on.
You're here. We don't want to get a shot.
Get a little bit better into the camera shot.
Take
Sit in
the
the
seat so
hand.
you can sit in
Be
the
the
hand to face. Sit in the
hand
hand to face. I'm good. Sit in the hand to face.
I don't play grab ass with you, Rob.
It's with the chair.
Okay.
The chair loves you.
Hola.
Ooh. Oh, Doug, we're breaking Twitch. Don't worry about that audio stuff.
I don't like to see it.
I don't blame you.
It's very warm, like a sweaty
Hi to
ball.
our viewers out there.
Sorry,
No,
guys.
it's alright. I'm like, what's
First off, we do, again, at Game Source want to thank you and thank everyone here for being a part of your awesome game night here at Retro City.
No, thank you guys for coming out. It's not anything without you guys.
First off,
If you're not here, you're missing it.
so since I'm in the presence of one of the master marketers of our time, and I'm trying to learn as best I can to pitch as best I can.
Who?
Who? Me? What did I do?
You can say it in the third person if it makes you feel
This is
better.
your chance to plug.
That Rob guy knows his marketing.
So tell us before we go and ask your opinion on on some gaming topics. Please tell us all the wonderful things you've got here and going on.
All right, so Retro City Games, we're at 693 North Valley Verde in Henderson, Nevada. We're just a retro game shop. I mean, we carry old and new stuff, everything from the ColecoVision and Atari all the way through new stuff, PS4, Xbox One.
But Doug, it's much more than the stuff on the shelf. What is really cool about this place?
Me?
That's one thing. Just thinking about something else.
That's a part. You're a part of it.
It might be tonight. I don't know.
I
It might be some of the cool things we do.
I think the whole community aspect.
No, definitely. I think we do a good job of bringing the community and really doing events like this and having fun. I think it's
Like we've said, there's a whole bunch of tournaments, a bunch of games being played right now just randomly, and people just walking around doing what they want when they want, kind
And
of a thing
people
here.
are talking to
And
each other.
It's a great community to be a part of, especially in this location.
That's the best thing is bringing people together who would never ever talk to each other
So
or meet
here's-
each other in the out and about.
So Doug, Rob thinks. I'm just kidding. what I think is cool. Your store hasn't even been open for a year, and you're the nucleus of a podcast coming in here to go live. A bunch of gamers from the community. You're sponsoring our film, Nintendo Quest. You guys are literally pulling it all together. You guys are the reason this is all happening, and only going to continue to get. Not bad for less than a year, man. Not bad.
No, Nicole and I really try. This is what we wanted. We wanted to build the community. That was the whole point of the store. So,
I think anybody that's here, and if you're not here, get down to 693 Valley Verde, Henderson, Nevada. What?
North Valley Verde.
North Valley Verde.
You're from the great white north and can't remember north.
Everything's north to me. Get down here for game night.
Nevada.
Some guy's gonna
That'd be like me.
Rob and say, "Hey man, I'm in Northern California. Where in the hell is it?"
I don't know.
That'd be like me saying Canadian.
Come on down here to game night and see what you're missing out.
So while I got you here, your thoughts on E3 and some of the games that you thought showed best at E3.
My favorite game of E3 was The Last Guardian. I've been waiting forever for that game.
You and half the world.
I know, right? but like I had faith in it, and I'm happy we got to see it. I wasn't expecting to see gameplay. I was expecting more of just like a teaser trailer saying, "Oh, this still exists."
Yeah.
But no, starting out with gameplay like that was pretty good. Xbox One backwards compatibility was pretty cool. I might actually pick one up because of that. I want to see the details of everything before I really get into it. But I thought Nintendo was pretty weak, like everyone else. I don't know. It was not very disappointing. Everything from the
screen was much better than the presentation.
It was, but it didn't leave me. There's no game that I'm like, oh, I can't wait for that.
Super Mario Maker, man, that looks like a blast.
It looks like a cash grab to me.
Oh, it looks a lot of fun.
It looks
man.
like it's fun, but all I foresee, especially
Think about what we could do with Retro City Games if a lot of people started building levels and coming here and playing them together.
No, I agree.
I'm not going to remember.
Thank you.
Marketer at work.
Just saying it might be a great game night come September.
We'll see.
Here at Retro City Games, in Henderson, Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada.
There you go.
What I love about you guys is you're a diehard Xbox fan.
Yes.
And you're a diehard Sony fan.
Well,
Go!
Well, you can be wrong sometimes.
Oh, you can be wrong sometimes. Not all the time?
They have a couple okay.
I'm glad that you can admit that. Thank you. So.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Not everybody's perfect.
Nah.
Any other titles you were looking at?
I'm mixed about Fallout 4. Like, I want to see more of it. Like, I like what they showed. I like the idea of you can do
You
anything.
played 3 and everything, right?
I did play 3. I played
Vegas?
Vegas?
I didn't like New Vegas.
Okay, that's fine.
So
You
I
don't have to.
think they did an awesome job of creating Nevada.
Yeah.
Nevada.
But and the Las Vegas area, but that was kind of the problem. Is there was just nothing there.
Yeah.
It felt like I'm walking forever, kind of like sailing in Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Like some people found it therapeutic. I found it tedious. So I don't know. I love Fallout
Especially when
3.
you had to keep going back and forth between islands, you're like, again.
Even though I'm more of a Elder Scrolls fan, I'm really looking forward to Fallout 4. But I'm not sure visually if I'm digging it. I don't know.
Who knows? They've got some months. They can work on it. They can update it. They can make it better.
No,
before it
definitely. I
ships.
think he's just concerned, like a lot of people, that it's not that huge. I know you and I discussed it on previous podcasts where I have concerns because it doesn't look like that a substantial leap above Fallout 3. But then again, if you get so immersed in the gameplay and the story, as you stated,
Yeah, I mean, well, same thing. Like if you look at even like Skyrim, like use that as a comparison. Like that game is gorgeous as a whole, but if you start looking at individual pieces, it's awful. Like it's really pixelated and bad.
I like the part where the bodies come right through the floor and all that.
I like the giant knocking you, next week. Halfway
Part of the fun,
Sunday.
but no, I did. If you look at screenshots like side by side of Fallout 3 and 4, it's a really substantial leap. Like it's really big. It's just I don't know if it's on par with modern gaming.
They did started developing it right after Fallout 3, though.
True,
right?
and visuals aren't everything. It's just I'm worried that if that polish isn't there, I'm worried about the polish.
You don't like falling through the floor when you're walking?
Maybe.
That's happened like 100 times.
It's the other Oblivion.
Well,
Right,
so also the other thing, I guess this is kind of going back to my Xbox fanboyness. You know how they said it's coming out for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. However, the PC mods will be transferable to Xbox One.
So good. And I'm sure that's easy just with the whole Microsoft.
That's what it basically is.
Yeah, it's also coming to PS4 though.
Later.
The mods and everything, right? So what they're going to basically have to do is reformat those or recode those so that way it works on PS4, where Xbox One will basically be just direct transfer. Do you think that will help merge, PC Master Race and console gamers a lot better?
I think it'll give them something to talk about, like as far as the community is concerned.
Okay.
I don't see people jumping like ship though. I mean, because like people who play on PC play on PC, and they have their reasons. They like the customization, they like everything. I'm more of a console gamer just because I like that. I stick the disc in, I know it's gonna work.
Yeah.
I used to be big into PC, and then I got tired of, I get a new game, let's install
Is
2
it gonna
hours,
work?
let's
Yeah.
install drivers and a 2-hour update, and then all this stuff. I'm like,
Do I have enough processing speed? Do I have enough this?
and exactly, and then it's like, I'm missing out based on these specs.
14 day one patches.
There you go. Yeah, and my graphics card lacking, but I have a ton of processing power, so it's running really smooth. Textures are good, but I'm getting awful frame rate. So I mean,
I will say my wife is all about playing on console because playing on PC makes her sick. Just controlling the movement with the mouse, she can't do it.
That's how Doug feels about Microsoft products.
Touch and control about Microsoft products.
No, it's okay.
That's how real gamers feel.
To clarify what Rob said, okay, I used to like Microsoft in the Xbox days. I was like, oh yes, a third.
Here comes the turning point.
No, there is a turning point. It was actually working in a game store, working at Game Crazy back in the day, and when the 360 came out, it was just every single thing they did was so anti-consumer and just tried to gouge you in every way. You had a $400 system that required a $100 wireless drive, $40 for a play and charge kit just to have rechargeable batteries,
And then you
and
probably
that was
hit
just
Xbox Live too.
and then $50 for Xbox Live. That was
Yeah, and by the way, those batteries just
we're awful.
yeah.
And my biggest issue with Xbox Live is I'm paying $50 a year, and it was a polished service, don't get me wrong, but it was still host-based. So there were no servers running most of the game. So I'm still paying for you to host the game. What am I paying for? And that's what kind of, and it's just that point I'm like, you know what, I think I'm just going to go the Sony route. And then the games in that generation just didn't wind up on Xbox. But that's where I started losing it. And then when
But
the
again,
Xbox
like you
One,
said, now there's a reason that you might pick up the
There is.
Xbox, which is always nice when we can jump back and forth.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I try to own as many consoles as I can. I mean Xbox One's the only one I don't have at this point, and it's really not because of Microsoft, it's because of the games. I used to love Halo, but I'm not excited for a new Halo. Gears of War looks awesome, but I'm not excited for a new one. I really want to play Ori and the Blind Forest though, and is it Cuphead?
Cuphead.
Is that what it's called? Cuphead looks awesome.
Yeah.
And like everybody that comes in here says Ori and the Blind Forest is like the best new old school game ever.
Yeah.
Like the difficulty
Very
there.
simple, but very hard to play. Like the puzzles and everything are challenging enough to make it
Exactly.
And they keep it to that old style of like retro games.
It's what we all love about the retro games.
But the artistic style is modern and beyond
Exactly.
that, so it's great.
Yeah.
Ori, every time that I turn around and Jeremiah is not doing something that I've asked him to do and he's not at work, that is the game that has been on. Every time he's like, Ori.
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah, every time I talk to him, he's like, oh my god, look at this new skill, look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm like, I get
There's
it.
some genius skills in that game.
He's all about it.
But
I mean,
then, especially
Metroidvania games in general are awesome. Guacamelee was one of my games of the year when that came out. Super awesome game. And yeah, Ori, I would not be surprised if that's not one of my top games this year.
I can see that.
And it looks beautiful.
And I'm really excited about the Rare Pack as well.
Yes.
I hope it's good though. I hope it doesn't play like an emulator. I hope it's true to the original games.
Yeah.
So
I want all the glitches.
you want all the glitches?
Well, Well, I think that's going to be about it for this evening. We're here at.
Well, I do want to say one other thing.
One last
so
thing.
Before we all
Never
go,
let Gerald speak.
The
One
biggest,
more thing.
The biggest
One
thing.
more time.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Steve Jobs one time. We're all here, and we're here with Nintendo Quest's very only Jay and Rob, and I think that we need to hear a little bit more about this movie, just for the viewers who have not seen it, and obviously who want to go see it. Don't spoil, of course, but at least give us a little synopsis of what it's all about.
After 2 years, there won't be any spoilers. And it'll be nice to finally talk about it tomorrow.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Jay, I've been pitching for the last year and a half, but I've been trying to let you do it. So
Rob and I grew up together for a long time. He called me one day, said he wanted to do a collecting doc. He wanted me to be the guy. And I'm like, okay. And he came up with all these rules, game show. So one of my biggest dreams was to want to complete NTSC NES collection. So he's like, cool. Let's go. I'll film you going out to get them. You have 30 days to do it. You can't use the internet. You have to use your own money. So I'm like, oh.
Your own money.
Sweating a bit. And then we had to kind of have some boundaries. So it was, none of the rental cards, none of the unlicensed stuff.
we wanted it to be every game that you could find on the shelf. Like
retail.
when you were of that age, when the NES era came out, if you could go in Toys R Us and grab it, that's what I wanted Jay to get.
But doing it decades
back
later.
when you had to
doing
pull
it 30
the
years
card
later
at Toys R Us and then take it up
exactly
to the
the
front
tag.
cage.
And that's
back
the thing.
when you had to get out of your house and go do it, go get a game instead of just
Amazon did drone delivered back then.
But that's the hook, man. Decades later, why are people going after these games decades later? What makes that important? So that's the second half, the second look at the dock, so to speak. While we're following Jay, we dip back and examine what makes the NES so great. Still, 30 years later. And here's a little spoiler, it's a little bit more than nostalgia. We started talking about it a little bit tonight, but there's a lot of reasons why that system still resonates, why it's still fondly remembered. And if you look around here at Retro City Games in Nevada, Henderson, Nevada, you will see a lot of people that are still in love with that system, that library. There's just something magical and maybe even intangible about it. So come check out Nintendo Quest tomorrow. It's at Play at UNLV at 2 p.m. We're going to actually be doing a podcast live via Twitch again.
Yeah,
so if people have questions for us, please come jump on the stream, ask us questions just in advance of the screening. We're going to have some merch available courtesy of Retro City Games. They'll be selling discs there
If they want
after
to
the
ask
screening.
any questions and you're not in the area, what's your Twitter handle? I know they can ask us at GameSource, but what can I also do?
They can tweet questions to us at the NES Club or at Pyre Productions, Pyre Productions, or at NES Club J. We'll have our phones out as we do the podcast tomorrow to see what comes live off the floor, so to speak. It's pretty exciting to start from here and have that screening to look forward to tomorrow, guys. So thank you to your Game Source. Thank you to Retro City Games.
And one last time, thank you again to Retro City Games.
Thanks a lot for having us, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this here,
It's
guys.
been great. And once again, it's the Game Source Podcast. Want to make sure everybody gets a shout out. Game Source at Facebook. Please give us a like out there. We truly, truly appreciate it. At Game Source on Twitter. We're the number. Well, actually, Yahoo's probably a little bit bigger. But we're one of the best. As far as articles we shared over 40,000 articles on the gaming world, and we have provided our own input as well. We have podcasts, we have videos, we have articles, reviews. We have a review of their movie
It's true.
on our site, the world's first posted review on yourgamesource.com. Just click right there on it. You'll see it. You'll see go to the review. It's right there for you, and you'll know exactly what you're in for when you go see their film. So once again, for Aaron, aka OSU Water Polo, and Doug from Retro City Games, Jeremiah,
Super boring.
Steph Tafu, and the little one, and Chrissy Poo, Killer X.
Sophie!
There you go. This is Gerald, aka Yes Elvis Lives. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again for watching or listening. We appreciate it. And it's another beautiful evening in Paradiso. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you again, guys. Appreciate your time.
Okay for you?
Oh, no, that's awesome. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Way much longer than I thought.
Oh, good.
You're movie stars now, so I didn't know.
Oh, here we
Tomorrow
go.
will be a lot.
Yeah, I expected like 15 minutes, and then Jay would like flip the table.
I know, right?
Just 10 minutes. You guys take 10 minutes. Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
Thank you guys for watching us.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more stuff.
There you go.
Cool. Good seeing you again, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if it even heard me, but
cheers, man.